Section 8.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Blerd Assassin Podcast. I'm Rob, homie Stelios.
Still not a Blerd.
Still not a Blerd, although
Still not.
he was proven to be a Blerd. Several people even confirmed that, bro, you like kind of told on yourself. But you know, if y'all missed it, go watch the last podcast. Well, homie, you basically confirmed it.
You're pretty cool. Everybody wants to have you as part of their group, but you know, it's all right.
It's cool, man. He one of us.
Worst things you can be.
Today, we got a little something different. You know, we always try something different. It's something that we're both passionate about, that we've never really went in depth with on any of these episodes. It's basically the sweet science of boxing. We both grew up as fans of this, you know, raised in households when it was appreciated, you know, in the early 80s and 90s when, you know, it was every pay-per-view. Yeah, the golden era, when every pay-per-view was a spectacle. You know, when there was somebody fighting, it was something to behold. There was going to be a show because it was new, you know.
You didn't mind paying for it. You didn't feel obligated. Let me go ahead and pay for this bullshit.
Right. You knew you were getting your money's worth, basically. Yeah. Back then, it was such a foreign concept for every household to have that. Remember, before that was it closed circuit? Movie theaters would show. We're showing our age because we're the generation that went from analog to digital. So we remember all of it, y'all. And you know, closed circuit, WrestleManias, you know, the big fights, you know, all that.
Buy CDs. I don't give what y'all say. I got a big book in my truck right now.
See, I don't do CDs at this point, man. But that's the era we're from.
Pictures and put them in books, just in case the cloud, you know, gets stormy one day or the zombies come. The zombies come and there ain't no cloud.
That's some old people logic, man.
I'm just saying, I got pictures.
The cloud gets stormy.
In case the cloud gets stormy and shit. You never know what's gonna happen up there.
But yeah, we had like fights on DVDs. Like I had an entire collection of, fights on, you know, DVDs.
I got a new DVD player like 2 weeks ago.
And that was
still watch DVDs.
And that's how we basically were able to view fights that we couldn't afford. You know, at times we probably could, you know, sometimes pitch in for a pay-per-view or something, but we'd eventually catch it on the CD. And that's how hard we were into like boxing. You know, this is before MMA, you know what I'm saying, with the VHSs or what have you. And like
before MMA.
It was before MMA, you know.
MMA was like barroom brawling back then, you know. It was the boxcar circuit.
You know, it was blood sport in real life. That's what I'm saying. Everybody in our generation grew up and they appreciate blood sport if you're a martial arts fan or a fan of fighting. You like blood sport, right? It's a dope ass martial arts movie. UFC was blood sport, you know, in its first 2 or 3 inceptions.
It was more like Tough Man Contest movie.
It was real guys fighting.
Are you tough enough?
We'll get back to MMA, guys.
Yeah,
we'll get back to. I'll catch him here in a few. But with boxing, it was always a spectacle to be held, and you know, you turn in for every fight. I remember ESPN, you know, showed fights Tuesdays and Fridays, like every Tuesday and Friday, and then you could catch like some fights maybe Sunday afternoon. Remember ABC Wild World of Sports? You could catch fights on Saturdays. Right. I remember that as a kid, you know, and it's basically just shrunk.
Went to the Showtime Boxing After Dark, shit like that.
Yeah, you know, and Boxing After Dark doesn't even exist anymore. Right. It's fell to, you know, that same, you know, story ending. Like there's no Boxing After Dark. I remember Roy Jones crying when Boxing After Dark was getting like turned off. That was like the saddest sight I've ever seen in boxing. It's like Ali after boxing is everything that happened, how he was, and then Roy Jones crying like at the end of Boxing After Dark. Those are the 2 saddest moments I've ever witnessed in boxing, you know. But hey, I feel him. You know, that was
Oliver McCall do his thing was kind of rough.
Nah, he was on crack. Yeah. Oliver McCall was smoking.
I hate to see a grown man acting like that.
But he won. Man. He won the heavyweight title, crying off the crack, scared. It was like that. Hey, whole other story. Go watch the Oliver McCall versus Lennox Lewis, you know, Volume 1. It's, if you haven't.
This is a real thing.
You know, we'll be touching on several fights like that randomly. But yeah, huge fans. And before we go any further, we do want to, you know, take a moment to acknowledge a fallen great, you know, a legend in boxing. If you've never seen any of his fights, you're not a real boxing fan. If you don't appreciate any of his fights or him as a fighter and a champion, you're not a real boxing
He's
fan.
actually my second favorite. He's on my top 5 list, but he's my second personal favorite of all time.
Yeah.
And he did beat Sugar Ray ass. If you about to get into
We'll
that,
get there.
you about to get into
We'll
the
get
comments.
there.
All right, yeah. I got something for you. Get in the comments if you want.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler, y'all. Passed this
Marvelous
past
Marvin.
weekend. A true great man. Like a very underappreciated fighter nowadays. For his time, what he was accomplishing. And you put Marvin Hagler in today's era, and I know people hate comparing, older fighters or older competitors of any sport to newer fighters, but I don't care,
He's
man.
part of what made it the golden age.
Jeez,
so it's
man,
really nice.
that man had go, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, he would just go. Wasn't Sugar Ray his only loss?
I guess.
I'm pretty sure that was his only loss. And that was like a fumble.
Oops. That wasn't something else.
But I'm gonna check again. I may be wrong, but I'll list his stats right there. But yeah, what he accomplished in the ring and his tenacity as a fighter, like just plodding forward. And was he from Philly?
Him and Tommy
Where was he
Hearns
from?
was the greatest round of
That
boxing I
hands
ever-
down, like
ever
that was
seen.
a great fight. Like just because Tommy Hitman's Hearns was another great from that era of the mid to late '80s. Well,
The
through
Hitman.
the entire '80s, I'll give it to him.
You can't say the 80s without Hitman.
Without Hitman Hearns, man, and the
Oh.
fact that Hagler beat him, you have to acknowledge Hagler. You know what I'm saying? You have to acknowledge he beat everybody that was there to be beat. You know what I'm saying? When he fought him, except for Sugar Ray. That was the one loss.
There we go.
But debatable. I'm one of
Not
those
even
people.
debatable.
If people say that they feel Hagler won, I won't argue it. I felt Sugar Ray
People
won.
that think SugarRay won, like, I kind of got. You're probably a Drake fan. Like, it's a certain type of.
I'm not a
It's
Drake
certain
fan.
Type of, I mean, no.
No, you
Might
no,
be-
I
might be
ain't
a
a
little-
Drake fan.
Might be a little, like his guilty pleasure. Like
Yeah,
when nobody,
no.
like listening to like Whitney Houston when nobody's around or some shit. Like
I listen to Whitney before I listen to Drake.
The same thing. I'm every woman. Yeah. It's the same,
Whatever,
same
nigga.
thing. Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Certain type dudes think Sugar Ray won. I'm like Kobe fans. You're a Kobe fan, right?
You know I'm
Supernova
a
Kobe
Kobe
fan.
fan.
Yeah, Kobe fans think Drake won that.
He's a
fight.
LeBron fan, man.
Not true at all. Now that's hitting below the belt.
He was. He was like one of the
I
first
was,
LeBron fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm the one who's not a fan anymore because I didn't realize, his treacherous ways. So
I did.
I didn't realize he had.
And I'm a
years.
Kobe fan. Kobe
Once I realized-
fans recognize them treacherous ways.
Once I realized he wasn't what I thought, I didn't say no, he is, just so I could look right,
It's cool.
Kind of like Kobe
It's cool.
fans thought he was the next Jordan.
I would understand why a Hagler fan would think that or equate a Sugar Ray fan to Drake. I get it, bro. I
Yeah,
get it.
some
You know what I'm
Drake
saying?
ass
I
shit.
totally get it. But, because I'm usually on the side of the Hagler type
If
dude.
you put
know what I'm saying? I'm a Hagler fan, though.
Some Sugar Ray highlights up, you gotta have Drake as the background. Like it's gonna
No, you
have
don't.
to be the set.
Negative.
It just makes sense to me. I don't know.
Whatever. But yeah, hats off to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, man. It's like you said, the sport wouldn't be the same, in that era without him, bro. He challenged all the greats. He fought all the greats. He fought whoever was there to, that you thought was good, and he
We would
pretty
all
much
be
put him on
calling
their
him-
ass.
Call him the GOAT. They wouldn't have stole that from him. They wouldn't have stole that because they liked Sugar Ray better. It was like same reason they gave Russell Wilson, go ahead, throw the ball at the end instead of give it to beast mode. Is the same reason they said Sugar Ray beat Hagler. Man.
I can see that.
It's just better for boxing. He gonna look prettier on the commercials. He don't have no mustache. Just shit like that. Okay.
I could see
like
you
that.
equating that, and
Oh,
I
golden
can see
boy
that,
ass
and I
dude.
would agree with that.
Only thing he missing was just being super light skinned. And it
No,
made
man.
sense. Like, man, look at this motherfucker right here.
He lost because he started dancing.
Yeah.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the man who never danced, the man who showed no
Wait
emotion.
a minute. He was
Yes,
laughing at this
that fight.
pitter patter feather duster bullshit that this
Doesn't
dude
matter.
was like.
They landed.
It was
It
landed.
don't matter. It was landed.
Man, he was saying as he was doing it. Like he was
Whatever.
letting out girly. He sound like Serena.
I don't want to talk about that fight during a tribute to this man Marvin Hagler, bro.
Because he won that fight and we all know it. So
Whatever.
let's not
Arguably, I won't
let's not
argue
get
it.
into
You know what I'm
that.
saying? Any further. But, hats off to him, a
Right.
true gentleman in the
Talking
sport,
about
you know what I'm saying? A
right.
fighter in every sense of the word. And, he'll be missed. Again, if you haven't seen Hagler fight or don't appreciate him as a fighter, do some more studying, please.
Oops.
Look, he got Well, so as we move through boxing, you know, like I said, we've been fans for quite some time. Pretty much the majority of our lives. I grew up watching boxing. It was the first sport I was ever introduced to, and I was completely amazed. But you know, we want to run through, you know, our individual Blerd Assassin top 5. I'm gonna let the homie go first, you know, and list his top 5,
Okay.
and then, you know, I'll go after him, and we'll see where we meet in the middle.
I mean, Ali is the GOAT. I think we all know that. Ali is the greatest.
Why? Now, do you say that because of what he accomplished in the ring or out the ring?
I say, when you get a combination like that, you can't do nothing but be the GOAT. I mean, because he used the shit inside the ring. He beat Foreman. You know, they threw him Manila. All the people that's gonna make your list in the top 10, he fought them or beat them. You know, like you can't say them without Ali. And he came out as the top dog in that era to me, and that was the golden age of heavyweight. Like, you don't get no better than that.
And it ain't tougher, bro.
Yeah.
He fought Murderer's Row.
Yeah.
Every time it was Murderer's
the
Row,
GOAT.
bro.
He's the inventor of the GOAT phrase. I mean, we made that up for him. He made it up, and he told us this is what I am. He was like, damn, you're right. You're right. And I don't even say that. When somebody tells me they're the greatest, I'm like, bullshit. I can tell you 3 better, but nah, not with Ali. So I'll go with him number 1. You know, he's almost default. It's like Jordan or Jerry Rice or something. You know, go with him.
If you don't put him as number 1, you know, there's
I'm looking
certainly
at you like,
something
so
wrong
now
with
the rest
you.
of
Like,
this shit kind
now
of
you
be
just
like,
hate,
man,
bro.
here we go. Yeah. So, number 2, I'm gonna go Iron Mike. Iron Mike, you know, just because at the age I was, seeing something like that was like it was like watching like a movie. You know, like you know, remember we talking about blood sport? This was the real deal though. He's gonna get some blood out of these boys. It was just crazy. Like you didn't expect to see the fight for very long. You weren't gonna be sitting down too long. You know, you're gonna see this fight right quick. He's gonna beat their ass, and then you're gonna talk about it for an hour. You know,
He was like a myth. Like you just first heard about. I just heard about him. Like, man, they was calling him the pit bull. Like he looked like a pit bull, and then you hear his name. Like, no, he's Dynamite Kid. Who Dynamite Iron Mike? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and you finally seen him. Like he like a normal, like now he's a child.
Except
he's a
he didn't
teenager.
have a neck.
He was a teenager.
Other
Like
than that.
like a normal guy. Like no, he's an abnormal
like, no,
child.
That dude 19. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, he's a teenager.
I was so young, it was just like seeing him. He was a giant to me though. Like the things he was doing, and he was knocking giants out. Like
Murder.
shit. Like, cause I was a little dude, and Iron Mike. I mean, shit, they made a video game about him. It was like Jordan having shoes. Mike had that game. Like, man, but dude ain't got no game though. I don't want to hear nothing else.
That Jordan versus Bird drop.
Yeah.
After a little bit after that.
Yeah. Mike Tyson.
Maybe before it. I don't know. Jordan versus
That's
Bird
old
has,
school.
but either way, Jordan versus
Google that.
Bird has
Jordan
nothing
versus
on.
Bird.
It
Damn.
has nothing on Tyson's Punch Out, bro.
Nah.
Tyson's Punch Out was like one of the
Nah.
most epic games on Nintendo because you could actually fight your way and fight and get your ass kicked by Mike
It
Tyson.
was gonna be
At
some
least
thorough,
the first fucking
thorough ass kicking
20
the first few
times.
Yeah.
I never beat him.
Before you realize he was winking at you before he knocked you out.
I
Like,
never beat Tyson.
I never did either. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
I watched a couple people beat him. I was amazed. It was like
If you beat
watching
Super
him in the gym.
Macho Man and Soda Popinski, you was a big beast.
I
I don't
beat Super
care.
Macho
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
That was, if you beat Sandman, niggas couldn't beat Sandman. If you beat Sandman, Soda
I bust
Popinski,
Sandman ass.
and motherfucking Macho Man,
But
you know.
Super Macho
Yeah.
Man, he get you with the 12 times around deal or whatever. But other than that, nah, I whoop his ass.
But Tyson you fought Tyson at the end of that
Yeah,
game.
but I
and
never beat
he
him.
beat your ass them first couple of times, and there was nothing you could
They
do
had to
about
make the
it.
game realistic.
Because it was real. That's how it was to all them guys fighting him, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looked like on TV to me doing them dudes in. Like,
Murdering dudes, bro.
yeah, so I got Tyson number 2. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Hagler.
Hagler. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, again,
Yeah.
rest in heaven to Marvel's Marvin
Yeah,
Hagler.
I mean, we already said why he's a beast, and he did beat Sugar Ray. Number 4, oh shit, I want to put Roy before Hagler. I'm gonna put Roy. Roy number 3. I'm gonna go 3 with Roy Jones. Roy Jones was just,
Yeah.
I mean, the shit. He was like Jordan in the ring. You know, shit was crazy. So he hit people with. He made a song about hitting you with 4 bombs all at one time. You went back and watched the video, and he did it. Like, man, I thought he might have looped it. Nah, he really hit him 4 bombs all with the same hand.
Like undeniably the greatest athlete who ever stepped into the ring.
He was
Athlete, hybrid, like fighter hybrid. You know, you usually get one or the other in boxing. Like it's seldom you get both, and when you get both, they're damn
And
good.
yeah,
but
when somebody
like
super
Roy was the
swole
best.
up, like chiseled like that, like he spending too much time lifting weights to be
It was
able
his
to fight.
back. His back was like ridiculous.
He
man.
had these right here,
and
like
all,
Mr. Wonderful,
and all it was speed, just speed and power, bro. Just he did stuff that they tell you not to do. Like Ali, these two, him and Ali do more shit than anybody else in regards to what a trainer, a classically trained, classical trainer would tell you not to do. Don't fight with your hands down.
All that hand.
Don't lead with a hook.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Set him up. You gotta set him up. Yeah.
Why are you fighting like a chicken?
Boy said he was set up when he stepped in the ring, baby.
Like, yeah.
He put his hands behind his back and cross you over and then hit you and knock you out. Some of the shit looked almost staged, but you knew it wasn't because why would you?
Because their heads was doing this the whole time, and it was not staged.
Roy, the only thing about him, he got old overnight.
Overnight,
and
it was that weight class jump. He won the heavyweight title.
Right.
He did. He
did
did something that nobody in it was like 100 years had done, maybe 80 years. You know what I'm saying? And he won the heavyweight title, y'all. He went from like junior middleweight or middleweight to
from little dude to big dude.
7 weight classes and fought heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Like and won
Dominated.
that shit. Like hats off to him. That's why he's he's in my top 5 too, bro.
The saddest thing I saw in boxing was punk ass Tony Tarver.
Antonio Tarver,
Roy Jones. He didn't have a mustache.
Boy.
He had that pink ass bottom lip. He was all dark skinned. Just the typical dude you hate. But
he's a crackhead. He's a
Tony Tarver?
crackhead. Yeah, he was a crackhead. That's what he said. He was smoking crack, watching Roy Jones win, and he was motivated as a crack.
Like, the
fuck
he said his name. Like, why are you running, Roy? Roy, I'm coming for you, Roy. Like,
but Roy gave him a meal. You know what I'm saying? That was a nod, bro. Like when you agree to meet somebody like that, that's like, okay, we're fighting for money. I'm better in your life. Like that's a nod to Roy. You know what I'm saying? But boy, that was rough to watch, bro.
Tony Tarver walking in the room, you'd be like, what's going on, officer? No, we don't have any of that here, officer. He's that guy.
Yeah, he smoke crack.
I hate him.
I don't hate him. You know what I'm saying? I applaud him for what he did. If a nigga can smoke, watch who they fucking somebody beating the amateurs.
Pipe dream.
You know what I'm saying? While smoking crack on a little TV. He had a little TV. Like, fuck that. Got off the crack, climbed through the motherfucking rankings, and then beat the guy. You know what I'm saying? That we all are naming as in our top 5.
Watch
like
out, crack. Here I come. Then came back and beat Roy Jones. That's fucked up.
And this is the thing. I will say, what killed Roy was him climbing that weight class so fast from going from that, I think it was super middleweight,
man, he
and
kept
jumped all the way to
making weak
heavyweight.
ass rap songs is what it was. He was on that body head shit. Like, man, bro.
That was weak.
No, that was kind of dope.
Okay.
That was kind of dope.
Okay.
I mean, you wasn't dope enough to fall off and start getting your ass kicked.
Hey,
but
Roy wouldn't play the
who was all them dudes? He was only dope because Roy Jones was on it.
Mr. Magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm good on that.
In the Attic family, now the Young Bloods.
I'm good.
That was a hit. Hey, body head, I smoke, I drink.
I'm good on that one.
Whatever.
I feel like that was part of Roy's downfall.
Roy's the only basketball player. He's the first basketball player to play 2 sports in one day professionally and win both. He played semi-professional basketball, and then went and won a world championship fight, in the same day. So, props to him. Manny Pacquiao was the second. Just for some of y'all.
What sport was that? What did he play?
Basketball.
Pac-Man can hoop?
Yeah. I mean, as far as
in the
they probably clothesline. It's probably more like arch rivals over there.
Yeah, 5'2" and under league.
Yeah, he went out there and hooped.
77 pounds and under league. Nah, I'm good on that too. Give me WNBA over there all day.
Funny.
Number 4, Hagler. All right. Number 5, my personal favorite. I had to throw him in. The Hawk.
Hawk time.
Aaron Pryor.
Hawk time.
Yeah. I got
him
in.
For y'all who don't know, as y'all may know, we're from Southern Ohio, so we're huge, fans of anything Ohio.
Boys in the area.
You know what I'm saying? And this is the boy in the area, like Aaron Pryor. Even
point across.
Point across, and you knew it was curtains.
I'm coming to get that.
If you haven't watched the Aaron
all
Pryor
coked up
fight,
and you couldn't stop him.
Yeah,
you could not stop him.
Sadly enough, yes, he was coked up.
He was what he was.
And
but
the fact that he was from the Natty was important to us, man. You know what I'm saying? The Natty has produced a lot of good fighters, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of fighters who may not have even made it all the way up, but
Aaron Pryor makes up for the Bengals.
You know what I'm
Cincinnati,
saying?
you
Aaron
get a
Pryor.
pass on them bundles because of Aaron Pryor.
If you haven't seen an Aaron Pryor fight, it's because Sugar Ray Leonard refused to fight.
The Sugar Ray knew what it was. Back to this Sugar Ray dude.
No. We're not going to shit on Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray, he's not.
Like
Tommy Davis.
Is it Tommy Davis? That's his name?
Yeah,
Tommy Davis.
Yeah.
Living Color. That's what
He does. He does. Okay, here, quick tip or unknown fact. Aaron Pryor beat Tommy Hearns in the amateurs. You can go watch it on YouTube. He beat his ass around the pillar, like,
because he was a man.
Aaron Pryor was beat his ass, bro. And they never fought. They didn't fight as pros, but would have been cool.
Because everybody knew what it was, man. They said that boy, he ain't got no sense.
No sense. That was he was a wild one. All right, so my top 5. I agree with you on Ali. You can't deny Ali. When I asked for what he did inside the ring instead of outside the ring, he has more notoriety for what he's done outside the ring, which is a bold ass stand to take as a black man at that point in time in America. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the other people, will give him that great title just because of that. You know what I'm saying? You have to factor that in as well, because the stance he took, he lost prime years, and that's why he's a great for mine, because they took his greatest years. You know what I'm saying? What he do? He lost his comeback fight and then won the title. You know what I'm saying? And lost the title and then won again. This is as somebody who's lost their prime already. Like, we don't know what he could have did in that prime.
He wasn't picking fights, Like,
he wasn't picking fights at all, bro.
You can get to 50 if you pick carefully, who you want to fight.
Right.
I ain't, taking shots at nobody, but you gonna fight McGregor every now and then and add it to your record and shit. No, I'm just playing. I like Floyd too. He didn't make.
We all like Floyd.
Yeah, he didn't.
Hey, hands down, we'll mention Floyd because he's not on my top 5, but
not top 5.
Greatest defensive boxer ever, in my opinion. Like, greatest defensive boxer. Like, for those guys who box, please emulate Floyd, because
can't get hit.
The CTC that's going around, brain damage, that's being examined and acknowledged nowadays through combat sports, even sports like football, like. Try to emulate a guy like Floyd. Hit and don't get hit.
You can fight a dude with Corona and come out clean. Like, man, I ain't got that shit.
That's a bad man. You know what I'm saying? Hands down, no matter what. Picked his fights, I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Set it up strategically. Great businessman of Al Heyman or whoever put him in places to fight those guys strategically when he fought them. I don't give a shit, because he still came out. He still came out unscathed, unscathed, like unhurt. You know what I'm saying? We've only seen Floyd hurt a couple times. We never seen him dropped, unless, which I count, that fight with him and Super Judah, when Super Judah dropped him. He dropped him. Go back and watch him. It's been acknowledged.
I want to register my complaint with the term Super Judah.
Super Judah.
We're going to call him Zab.
Super Judah. Super Judah dropped Floyd Mayweather. And
I put him in
what is that?
What is that? Bronner.
It wasn't counted by the ref, but his glove touched the mat.
A bunch of dudes that shoulda, woulda, coulda, but
possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. But I mean, he was a world champion for a short period of time. Hey, doesn't matter to get there. Takes balls. Props to Super Judah.
Yeah,
Super Judah dropped him. Like, we gonna just see, he dropped him. Go back and watch it. I'm gonna show him the video in slow motion, and he's gonna acknowledge that later.
Anybody knows Zab Judah's name? His name sounds good in raps.
I know him because I fucking watch ESPN fucking Tuesday
night
fights.
He hit so hard, he got back up.
And did the chicken
dance.
Yeah.
Like, you motherfucker.
Fighters are allowed to have. They're allowed to have low points. Fighters are allowed to have
humble
low
yourself
points.
after that. Slow down. Be humble. Yeah.
All right. So acknowledging Floyd, unbeknownst, he definitely gets the nod. Number 2, I'm gonna throw Tyson. Tyson, because say what you want about his losses, undersized heavyweight, and he did all that shit. Like we were saying, his ascension to greatness was done as a child, y'all. He was a teenager. That's something we always forget about Iron Mike. He was a teenager destroying these grown men. And you say he didn't fight nobody. It's nobody that you never heard of. You know what I'm saying? We've heard of all these people. You know what I'm saying? I know about Bone Crusher Smith and Bruce Seldon and all these other people. You know what I'm saying? Like Spinks in his prime. Like these people were. He was 20 when he won the title.
Yeah.
He was 18, 19, beating all these niggas on the way to the title, bruh. Like
up grown men.
Like monsters, bruh.
I like a senior in high school come and beat up your daddy right in front of you.
Right in front of you. It's like, nah, bruh. It's a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
Coming to beat up your daddy, bruh. Like undersized. He ain't no big. He ain't no big.
Your uncle that you thought was tough. Like, man, I bet you don't knock out Uncle Leo.
And beat their ass. You know what I'm saying? So that, like, still to this date, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, and that's not going to be broke for quite some time, because kids nowadays ain't that tough. No. Boxers nowadays ain't that tough, and they ain't gonna put it on the line like Tyson and have the skills and power to do that and dominate at that young of an age. At that young of an age, boy, he's bruh. like that Tyson from 20 to like 23.
If they stopped fights then the way they do now, like a lot of his shit wouldn't have lasted.
Nah, because he was brutalizing dudes.
He
was brutalizing them grown men
3-4
who were like
in
a
a row.
foot,
They be like, oh, you're not defending yourself no more.
like a foot taller than him too, bro. That's what made it look so cartoonish, bro. Like he was like Mickey. What was his name? Tom and Jerry. Jerry's like strong ass little fucking like that was Tyson, bro. Murdering them, bro. But yeah, that's my number 2. Number 3, I'm gonna have to give it to Roy. Like you said, most athletic I've ever seen. Like as a teenager, that was the guy massacring dudes. Number 4, I'm gonna give it to Sugar Ray Robinson. Just looking back, that's who my granddad raised me on. You know what I'm saying? That was his guy. So I seen, and it's a long period of Sugar Ray Robinson fights that weren't recorded, so we'll never see them.
That's why I don't. I mean,
we could. I mean, it's a tale. You know what I'm saying? Of this man's legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, so. Yeah, I give him his P's, man, because he lost his first. When he lost his first fight, not the very first fight he ever fought, but he went on a tier and then went on another tier after that first loss, and I think it was Jake LaMotta, and then he just beat the shit out of everybody. He fought like 140 something fights, possibly more.
And I've heard tales, he'd be walking backwards and knock you out. He'd catch you on the chin, moving backwards, and I heard he was the truth of this. It's like.
But the fights I've seen, that's why. The fights I've seen, it's like.
See, I haven't seen them. It's like, to me, it's like Moses parting the Red Sea. That sounds impressive. but man.
But you got to go off.
No, but
a lot of people, like our granddads, our grandparents, they didn't get to watch this shit live. You know what I'm saying? They heard it on the radio. You know what I'm saying? And shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit was probably like that's the shit legends are made of. Props to Sugar Ray Robinson, the first Sugar Ray. All these other dudes, Sugar, I don't care what their name is, Sugar Rashad, Sugar Leonard, Sugar Shane, Sugar whatever. I don't give a shit. They all came from Sugar Ray.
That's the one who
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Like Roy Jones is. What if Sugar Shane was sweet as fuck? Sugar Shane is sweet, but he ain't Roy. I remember when he fought De La Hoya, and they said, "Man, you a weightlifter, man. You ain't no boxer." Or who was that? That was that was Floyd's dad. Big Floyd saying that shit to him.
Big Floyd was up.
Yeah, you ain't no fighter.
He peaked fighting who? Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah. He got his ass pieced up. Now number five. That's a tough one. Very tough. I'm gonna have to go with. Let's see. Number 5. Shit, that's tough, man. So many fucking people. Can I do Hawk? Nah, I'm gonna go with Andre Ward. Andre Ward, gold medal winner. I think of light heavyweight, undersized, cruiserweight, light heavyweight. I was showing my man's a couple of his highlights.
He looked like Rodney Harrison, dirtball that played for the Patriots and shit.
I don't watch
I don't
these
trust
sports
look like that, man.
But Andre Ward, man, you know what I'm saying?
Like making Scottie Pippen in your top 5.
I mean, I mean, this is because of what he accomplished, man. Undersized, like won a gold medal. It's very seldom a guy will win the gold medal and then win like any notariable, championship, belt in boxing. That's very seldom. He did that shit.
Like when they stole the gold from Roy Jones, I knew, right? Like, oh, this shit is,
Hey, they ain't still from Andre Ward. He was out there, hey, bro, it was so ridiculous because he was so small, just out boxing and beating the shit out these dudes, bro. Like his Olympic run was like, because he was like, it's very seldom nowadays that anybody from America wins Olympic, gold in boxing. You know what I'm saying? He did that shit. I think it was like 2000, possibly like 2000 Olympics around there. But he cleared house. I remember watching that, and he cleaned house, bro, on them big ass boys.
He's a beast. I think he was a victim of he was in the wrong time. Like
possibly
there wasn't no huge names or no super fights to make him, the shit like he really is.
There are no big fights nowadays. You know what I'm saying? It's all boxing is full of fighters who we don't know.
Dante Wilder, let's see if he can knock one out the park.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's what people hope for. You know what I'm saying? You build up everything on there, and it's anybody who's a real boxing fan understands that.
And I like Wilder. I like
I like to see people like him eat. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm a fan of.
I don't think he's a very good boxer.
Not at all. And him losing was
shaking that hand when he coming towards you.
Yeah, and I called that out. I was telling them that he was gonna lose to Tyson Fury too.
I was pulling for him.
I told them he was gonna lose him, bro. And every time I say, "Here comes the right," here comes the right. He's on that right.
5% way about him. I like that.
And then I like Wilder as a person. You know what I'm saying? I want to see Wilder succeed. That doesn't mean that I'm going to let that, you know what I'm saying, interfere with my judgment or, you know, my judging as a boxing analyst or a fan. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? But due to Wilder, we don't notice like other people in boxing right now, like the Terrence Crawfords, you know what I'm saying, like the Gervonta Davises, like the, you know what I'm saying, like, what's his name, Ryan Garcia's. I'll throw him in there. You know what I'm saying? These are the people who are fighting now. You know, the better fights, in my opinion, are the smaller fighters. You know, the weight of the boxing world was on the heavyweight fighter, you know, for years. You know what I'm saying? And it's been hard to acknowledge that the better fights are the smaller fights.
All them guys play linebacker.
You know what I'm saying? Now. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
More money.
But I like to see boxing make a come up. You know what I'm saying? It's been falling short for quite some time.
Yeah, because I love it, but I you know, like I look at it like the NBA. I love basketball. I love the Knicks of the '90s. I love boxing of the '80s and '90s. I tried to stay with both of them. You know, I keep paying attention. They don't have my undivided attention. You know, I got other shit to do and watch these guys pretend to be something they're not.
And I appreciate the newer generation boxing, but it's something missing. It's something
Davis. Yeah, Davis.
Gervonta?
Don't watch. Bad intentions. Yeah, he remind me, he's like Lil Mike.
Lil Mike, bro.
Yeah, he ain't got no mustache and he light skinned, but don't say it to his face.
One of them Baltimore boys.
Knock your mustache off.
Go check out Gervonta, y'all, if y'all haven't checked him out, man.
He fucking go to the body like he's trying to really, really hurt you.
Make you shit yourself.
Yeah, that's what he's going for. And
he's a bad man, but you know, it's go support boxing. If you're a fan of boxing, don't let the sport die. You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge MMA fan. I've ever since the creation of UFC and me getting hip to Pride and all that, I've always been, you know, lean more towards MMA. You know, but I'm a combat sports fan, and my first love will always be boxing, like everybody else.
Put your damn shoes on.
Hey, nah, it's cool to fight barefooted, but you know what I'm saying? But, you know, for people like you who believe like that, that's why boxing, you know, needs to stay around. So, man, watch these fights when you get a chance. It's not just about Jake Paul and Aaron Paul and shit. You know, it's a spectacle, but pay attention. If you watch that, pay attention to the undercount card, man. Pay attention to the Badu Jackson, you know, the guys you never heard of, the female fighters, because women fighting, you know, they're willing to fight. So pay attention to that, y'all, man. Don't let the sport of boxing die, man.
I've been to the club. The girls fight more than the guys do. The guys talk about fighting, then they go start shooting.
Women fight
girls
hard, man.
Fight.
Support that shit, man.
The K9, I didn't even realize. I forgot guys even go to the K9. I thought women go there to fight. I was about to say that B word. I made it through the whole thing. Yeah. But I thought the K9 was just like, you know, girl fight club. I forgot dudes be there.
There's people in Cleveland watching this. Yeah,
Well, come check out the K9. You want to see a girl fight?
Don't go to the K9, man.
Hey.
Don't go to the K9.
Like, go before 10:30. You know, there's only been like 2-3 fights.
All right, y'all. Support boxing and the sport of boxing. You know, the business of boxing has been murdering the sport of boxing, and, you know, fighters are paying for it. You know, these young fighters, if they're in your area, you know, if you know them, you know, support them. You know, and you know that's what's going to keep the sport alive.
We can get it back to real fights. We don't have to watch McGregor fight Mayweather ever again or anything like that. We don't have to watch no grizzly bears in the ring or none of that shit. We got real fights again.
Hey, maybe we can
get
there.
Shoes on, and you know.
That's a huge if, bro. Maybe we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about that next one, man. Y'all stay safe.